And just like that, the season is over. The 23-24 Premier League campaign is done. And Chelsea have secured European football in a season that we did not expect. I did not expect us to make the top six. But we've done it. We've locked it in. It might be Europa League. It might be Conference League. That remains to be seen. All hinges on the FA Cup final. If United win, it's Conference League. If City win, which fingers crossed, I mean, that's the more likely option at the moment. And, they did us a favour today doing it against Arsenal. Let's hope they can do us a favour against Man United and get us that Europa League spot. But either way, today is a good day. We gave Thiago Silva a good send-off. 3 points, 5 successive Premier League wins, minutes for players that are coming back from injury. We're looking like we are building. There is more positives than negatives at the moment surrounding Chelsea, which is something that I haven't been able to say. We haven't been able to say for a while. But today, I mean, it was kind of I was kind of expecting a bit of a nothing game. I was kind of expecting a fairly slow paced, maybe 1-0, maybe 2-0, but it was a fairly good game in the first half, particularly. Fairly good pace to the game. Second half kind of quietened down a bit, but we got a fifth successive Premier League win. That's one loss in 15 games in the Prem. I mean, if we had the same second half of the season as we did in the first, if we could go back in time with this Chelsea team, I mean, we've come so far from the first half of the season, from those first 5-10 games. And I know we performed throughout against the big teams. First game of the season, Liverpool. We have performed for the most part against the big teams, but it's been inconsistency that's let us down. It's been performances against teams that we should have beaten, drawing against teams that we should be getting 3 points against comfortably, like Burnley, like Sheffield. But, we kind of put that behind us in the last... I say that sounds very hypocritical given that we have drawn against Burnley and Sheffield in the last 10 games, but it feels like we've kind of turned a corner in terms of some of those inconsistencies. I was more comfortable today than I have been in recent weeks when Chelsea were just at 2-0. And even though the lead only lasted a minute, even at 2-1, I was fairly comfortable. I didn't really think we were going to go out and crumble as we have done so many times this season. There has definitely been a positive development. There's definitely been improvements in this Chelsea side, front to back. From the start of the season to where we are now, I definitely feel a lot more comfortable with this Chelsea team as they are. But one player that has been getting so much flack, and I've been very vocal about supporting him, but Moises Caicedo, so glad to see him get his first goal in a Chelsea shirt today. Obviously, what a goal it was. But again, that wasn't even the best part of his performance. His breaking up play, his ability to just patrol in front of that back line, stop anything from getting there. He is the last line of defense in front of that defense, and he does his job so well. And honestly, I don't think it matters whether it's Enzo, whether it's Gallagher, whoever's alongside him. Moises Caicedo is a top player, and he's just shown us glimpses. And I say that like he hasn't put in 8 out of 10 performances in the last 10 to 20 games. But he has been growing into this Chelsea shirt. He's been growing into his role. He's been continually improving. And another top performance today. What a player. Build around him. There are so many young South American prospects. Esteval Willian we'll get onto in a little bit because there's no way I can do a stream today and not talk about Esteval Willian. But Moises Caicedo, he's doing bits. And anybody that says there were still people calling him flop at the end of the season, there were still people saying he was one of the worst transfers of the season. These people have not been watching Chelsea. These people have not been watching Moises Caicedo because the guy is so good in so many aspects of his game. He could be the perfect, the complete box-to-box midfielder, a level up on Kante, a level up on Makelele. That is a bold statement to make given the status of those players and how good those players were. And I am not undermining them at all. Two of the best centre midfielders, two of the best defensive midfielders that the Premier League has seen, particularly Claude Makelele. I'm moulding myself around Claude Makelele as a youngster, as the type of player that I wanted to become. But Caicedo has the potential to be that and more. His distribution is far better than a lot of defensive midfielders that I have seen. His ability to thread a through ball, the weight on the pass, the timing on the ball. He's got good ability going forward, as well as breaking up play, the defensive work that he does, the itty bitty bits that the gritty, the work that nobody else wants to do in this Chelsea team. Moises Caicedo does, and he does it so well. And he had another top performance today. And I've got nothing but positive things to say about Caicedo. And when we get a fully fit Enzo Fernandez back in this Chelsea team, the two of them will flourish. I think we need to work out the best system to facilitate both of them. But I have no doubt about either one of those players eventually fulfilling the price tag, eventually living up to the ridiculous amount of money that we have paid for both of them individually. Appreciate you joining, Seb. Jump into the comments real quick. Seb, how you feeling, my bro? We're back. 5 wins in a row, European football. I can't lie. It's looking positive. And everyone that's saying Poch out at this stage, I mean, I still see the underlying concerns. I still see the basic mistakes. Sometimes we still lack a few things, but I do feel like at the moment that's more on the pitch than off of it. I do feel like that comes with experience, and I hate to dig him out because he scored what would be or what is the winning goal today. Raheem Sterling, I think it's time for him to go this summer. I will be doing more shorts about it. Don't worry, there will be no shortage of content coming out around Raheem Sterling and transfers in the coming weeks. In fact, we have around 5 videos planned for this week alone. So if you're not already and you are watching, make sure to subscribe to the channel. Make sure to drop us a like and a comment as well. It is a live match reaction. So get involved. Let us know what you think. But Raheem Sterling will definitely be on my sell list this year. I know he's done it in pieces. He's had some fantastic moments, couple free kicks, one against Newcastle, I think, couple real glimpses of quality, couple real important moments for us, digging us out of deep situations, digging us out of difficult games where we could have dropped points. Again today, coming through, I think there's still a fine line between when we're going to be able to cash in on Raheem Sterling and if we wait any longer. Sorry, I do think we are pushing that. I think this summer we're not going to be able to recoup the 50 mil that we spent on him. I think 40 mil is a big push, but 30 mil, 25, 30 mil, I think we may be able to get that from somebody in Europe, maybe Saudi, whoever it is. I think we may be able to get that for Sterling. But if we wait any longer, value is just going to depreciate. I genuinely don't think he does enough in this Chelsea side to justify his value, to justify his wage as well. 300k plus a week. He doesn't set the best example for these young Chelsea players. There are better players out there like Thiago Silva, players akin to that kind of responsibility or akin to that kind of experience, that we could bring in and to lead these players, to lead a good example for these players. I don't think Raheem Sterling's that guy. I think we've tried him. We've given him enough chances. But at this point, I think cash on him while we can. And while there is still a little bit of value there, but obviously, I don't want to underplay great importance today. While he didn't blow me away and while a lot of the things that he did on that pitch irritated me and frustrated me, he scored a decisive goal and the decisive goal today to get us that 5th Premier League win in a row. So, thank you very much, Raheem Sterling, for everything that you've done. But at this point, I think the best thing for both of us is that we part ways. In terms of Chelsea, I think we'll flourish with more experience, better disciplined, better experienced players that can hold themselves a little bit higher and lead by experience, motivate this team a little bit more. And also, I feel like, we wrote off Aubameyang after he was at Chelsea, but he's gone on to score, break the records in Europe at Marseille, score some good goals there. So, there's still time for Raheem Sterling. He was at one point a fantastic football player, and I'm not doubting his football ability still. I'm not saying that that's completely gone away from him, but at this point, I feel like it is best for him and his career. If he is serious about getting back in that England squad, if he really does want an opportunity at the Euros or at international tournaments in the future, he needs to go elsewhere and he needs to look for a starting role, because with the quality of the wingers that we're bringing in, I'll mention again, Esteval, Willian, all these young wingers that we're bringing in and nurturing, we might be sending a few on loan, but it's only going to be a matter of time before they are in and around the conversation for starting in this Chelsea team. And Raheem Sterling. I mean, we need someone there to nurture them and to to tell them right from wrong, to really break them into this Premier League and to into the environment and into the atmosphere that this ridiculously competitive nature. We will be in Europe next year, 2 games a week. These young players are going to be dealing with teams and terrains that they haven't dealt with before. And you might look at these players, going to the back end of Azerbaijan or wherever it is to play a Europa Conference League away game. But these games aren't always easy. It's very different to the way that we play in the Premier League. It's very different to the way that these players have been schooled under Pochettino for a year. So, I do think that we still need a couple of experienced heads in there. There does need to be a couple, a little bit of movement. It includes getting rid of players like Lukaku, Ziyech, but there are players that we do need to bring in as well. While we are spending and prioritizing, spending on youth like Esteban Willian, we need to focus on the now as well. We're breaking into Europe, which is a step up from this year. If we do have the same injury concerns as we have done this year with the same squad, we're going to be in trouble. We were at some points this season, we were dire. We were severely lacking in terms of leadership, direction. A lot of this Chelsea team does revolve around morale. And if there aren't the experienced players in that dressing room to boost morale where we are at a low point, it is going to get techie for us. And obviously with Thiago Silva, Thiago Silva is a massive, massive figure in that dressing room. For so many of those youngsters, he is a leader. He's an aspiration. He is the one that guides them through and gives them the advice and the hope that they need to get through difficult periods. And losing him cannot be understated how important he has been to this Chelsea squad on and off the pitch. Even when he's not playing, I have no doubt that he is instrumental in what we do from a tactical perspective, from motivational, in the halftime team talk. Thiago Silva is a massive, massive figure in this club to lose. And we're going to have to do something drastic in order to replace him. And it doesn't help that our captains are currently suspended for being petulant, injured with no look of returning, and Conor Gallagher as our vice. I don't know how else to describe him. He's done a lot for Chelsea this season, but I don't know. I think he will go in the summer. In an ideal world, I'd keep him as a rotation player. I'd keep him as a player that we could use for impact off the bench to up the tempo, to increase the pressing rate. When we really need to go on and make an impact, when we really need to go on and shake up a team, send on Conor Gallagher. But I don't know. I don't know if he's done enough this season. I know that he's got love from so many Chelsea fans, that virtually the entire Chelsea fan base appreciates him, as they did Mason Mount. But I don't know. I feel like we have better players from a footballing perspective, from a technical ability perspective. I'd even put players like Chukwuemeka above Conor Gallagher. I'd even look at Caicedo, as a future prospect above Conor Gallagher in terms of quality and footballing ability. But I don't know. Will he go? Will he stay? Who knows? The one thing that I am 99% sure I can say with confidence is Pochettino will be staying. I know he's been ambiguous in the majority of press conferences that he's had over the last couple of months, not just the last few weeks, the last couple of months. He's been extremely ambiguous with every single answer he's given. It's not up to me, it's up to the club. We've got to make it he signed a 2-year contract when he joined, and that was last season. So he's not going anywhere because we've got Europe. He hasn't massively disappointed us. We've had a very, very tough season. But on the face of it, we've come out very positive. We've got Europe. A lot of the players coming back from injury. We look like we're playing some good football. 5 Premier League wins on the bounce. There are a lot of positives to take from this year. If you look at the squad in terms of a building block, a stepping stone. This is a team in development. This is a lot of young players that have not had this experience before. This is the first time that they're playing together as a squad. Whatever excuse you want to give them, it is excuses at the end of the day. These players getting paid this much amount of money should be challenging for Champions League at a bare minimum. But bearing in mind where we were 2-3 months ago, I could not have expected us to be in the conversation for Europa League. So if we do get Europa League through Man City winning the FA Cup over Man United, fantastic. If we get Conference League, you know what? I was a month and a half ago, I was expecting the only way for us to get to Europe being through the FA Cup and winning that. We didn't do that, and we've still got secured European football. We've still secured that somehow. And I know Newcastle have had an off season. I knew Manchester United have had bad patches and a really poor season by their standards again. Chelsea have pulled through. Chelsea have come through in very, very difficult times. And the majority of the big games that we've played this season, we've done very, very well. We haven't lost very often. That Arsenal loss aside, we've very, very rarely been beaten on the big occasion by a team that we can walk out there and say they were the better team over 90 minutes. A lot of it has come down to our missed opportunities, a lot of inexperience, naivety at the back, poor mistakes. This Chelsea team will learn. A lot of these Chelsea players, 21, 22, 23 years old, they will learn. This season will have taught them a lot. And fingers crossed, I mean, I'm not a massive fan of Pochettino. And while I'm still not sold on him as an idea, I've got to formally, verbally retract and officially retract my Poch out. You know, give him the preseason, give him the time, let him choose which transfers and which players he needs to bring in. I do think that we need to give him time. While there are other managers out there that we could bring in, I've said for a while I don't like the hiring and firing. And while Poch has not sold me and still has a while to go, this Chelsea team has made drastic improvements on where we were last season under Graham Potter, under Frank Lampard. So, long may it continue. This Chelsea side, it can only really go up from where we were last season. I was going to say this season, but, you know, we've done fairly well. I don't think many people expected us, like I said, 2-3 months ago, to get to the position that we are in now. At the start of the year, I predicted 5th, and we'll go into that more in our pre-match prediction recap, which I will do with Mr. C Money Picks at some point later this week. Stay tuned for that. Obviously, if you're watching as well, make sure to subscribe to the channel, like and comment as well, but subscribe to the channel. But Chelsea, I mean, 6th place, Europe, in a building, on a brand. You know, the one thing that I can say that is massively downhill from last season is obviously the goals conceded. More goals conceded than ever before. 63, I think it was this season in the Premier League. I'm not a fan of that, but got to start from somewhere, right? And last season was so much worse. If we sit here and say that this season we're worse off than we were last season, we're kidding ourselves. We have improved, and there is positives to look at. There may still be a big conversation around FFP and financial irregularities this summer. Let that happen, man. We've got Esteval Willian for 29 million. We can still do some smart business, get a couple of experienced players in here, and we are ready to rock and roll for next year, man. We are ready to challenge for the Champions League. We're ready to go out there and win the Conference League. I know it sounds stupid right now, but it's a building block for these players. A lot of these players, if they can win their first European trophy with Chelsea, regardless of whether it's a Conference League, a Europa League, a Champions League, a European trophy is a European trophy in terms of mentality and what it takes to get there. You know, the build up, the preparation is still the same for a lot of these players. It will be a fantastic first experience, whether it is Europa League or Europa Conference League. I obviously hope it's Europa League, so it is more competitive. It is a bit more of a statement, and we do get to challenge, you know, a lot better teams. The Conference League, at the same time, I wouldn't be mad, because it gives a lot of these players an opportunity to wet their beak, to jump into the shallow end rather than jumping straight into the deep end of the Champions League, of some of these top teams that we will have to come up against. But you've got to start somewhere. And if this Chelsea team wants to compete for for the foreseeable future, we're going to need to step it up from this season. There is going to need to be a big improvement from where we were consistently this year. Obviously, individually as a team, but, you know, transfers, I don't even want to look at transfers too heavy. You know, injuries, it will help for a lot of these players to come back. Transfers, I don't even think we should look at a number 9 this summer. I think we should just focus on experience. Get an experience, maybe a centre mid, an experienced defender in there, maybe a left back and a centre back. Just a couple of experienced players that can tell us, that can get us out of tight spots, that can help us manage games professionally. This Chelsea team used to be so professional. When we went 1-2-0 up and we needed to see a game out, we were so professional. We knew what we had to do. We kept the ball. We did our jobs well. We didn't let the opposition get a sniff. Nowadays, we're way too inconsistent. We let them get way too close to bringing it back. You know, a couple of opportunities for Bournemouth to bring it back today that could have given us a real scare, and did give us a real scare. But on the face of it, this is a Chelsea team that would have lost this fixture probably last season, maybe 6 months ago. You know, we have come a long way from where we were, and I don't want to sit here and scrutinize anything bad about Chelsea today. We will hopefully be able to bring you a more in-depth, maybe a player ratings or a full match reaction episode with Mr. C Money Picks, but we got a packed schedule this week. I'm hoping to do a Premier League team of the season. We're going to do it, obviously, as I've been bigging up, a Premier League predictions recap of our video that we did at the start of the season. Obviously, I predicted Man City would win. I said Arsenal wouldn't be able to go the distance. They weren't. Shock horror. Daniel's right. He calls it again, yet again, every time. But at the same time, Man City, they are inevitable at this point. Inevitable. I really don't think any Arsenal fan could have genuinely thought this was their year. With how good Manchester City are, it is just virtually impossible to beat them. And 4 in the Champions League, 4 in the Premier League, back to back. You've got to hold it up and say, we haven't seen this level of dominance since Ferguson's United. So hold your hands up. It is up to Arsenal and Chelsea next season, because Liverpool with Arne Slot, that ain't going to be it, mate. I'm telling you now, I'm calling it here. Liverpool are going to struggle next season. Man United were my underachievers this season, and guess what? They underachieved. My dark horse was Aston Villa. Guess what? They did fantastic. But next season, I think I'm already calling it Liverpool. I think they're going to have a poor season, man. Even if Salah goes or he doesn't, I think they're going to have a poor season. I think they will be in trouble if Salah goes. FSG, they still don't want to reinvest. Arne Slot, I don't think he's that guy. It will take him, like Poch, at least a year to get into it. And, this day and age, who knows if they will be able to have the patience that they did with Klopp. 9 years he lasted, just one Premier League. It's a bit sad. But, Liverpool's Liverpool. That's not our problem. Chelsea is Chelsea. Chelsea is back in Europe. And Chelsea is building. Chelsea is building a team for the future. Estevan Willian. I've mentioned his name a few times, so we'll discuss him real quick. He's supposed to be the next Messi. He's nicknamed Messinho for Palmeiras in Brazil. He's supposed to be the next Messi. We've seen how much PR Endrick's had and how good he looks and how good he's supposed to be. We signed Kendry Páez, and supposedly Estevan Willian, this signing is supposed to blow him out of water. He is supposed to be unbelievable, the best player that Brazil have produced in a long, long time. Definitely the best winger. Obviously, Endrick's a striker, so I kind of want to keep them apart in terms of comparison. But I'm very excited about this Estevan Willian deal. If we can get it over the line, fantastic. I am a little bit worried in terms of what it will mean for other wingers that we brought in. Angelo Gabriel, Amari Hutchinson, Diego Moreira. We brought in so many good young wingers that I do have high hopes for in this Chelsea side. But, when you sign all these players to 7-8 year contracts, it does bring the question, who will succeed? Who will push on? Who will nail down a starting position? It looks like Maduiki's nailed it down on the right. That left, while Mudryk is kind of gripping it, doesn't look like he's nailed it down. So, will Omari Hutchinson stay with us next year? I hope he goes back on loan, hopefully to Ipswich. But there is a conversation to be had. People are saying that Estevan Willian will be straight into this Chelsea team in 2025. Sorry. I'm hoping that Mudryk and Maduiki will have nailed down their positions. They're still going to be 22, 23 years old. They're still going to be very young. There's still going to be a lot of time for these Chelsea players to reach their potential. So to be throwing these 17-year-old players in, who will obviously be 18, 19 at the time, it's a bit, it does kind of worry me a little bit. But at the same time, I'm not going to sit here and complain that Chelsea are signing generational talents, that we are looking at players that are potentially once in a, that are the best in their generation. That could be a Messi, could be another Neymar. I'm not going to sit here and complain when we're buying them for 29 mil, potentially 60 mil, but that's only if we win Premier League, Champions League, all of that, and minimal fee. If that means that we win Champions League and Premier League, I'm happy to pay that all day. But it does kind of make me worry. And, I haven't even mentioned as well the youth players, Donald McNeely, Frankie Runham, Castledine, Stutter. They're not all wingers, but there are a lot of young players that are looking to break forward in that attacking third. And Chelsea seem to be pretty fluid with that attacking 3, attacking 4 these days. So where will they fit in? I don't know. That's a question to be had for another day. For now, all we can do is revel in the fact that we have managed to pull off what seemed unthinkable a couple of months ago. Make sure as well, guys, to like, comment, subscribe to the channel if you're not already as well. We're going to be doing giveaways. I've got a Chelsea training shirt to give away, but we are also going to be doing 4 or 5 videos this week. Premier League team of the season. We're going to be doing a Premier League predictions recap. I'm going to be doing a detailed video, or a more detailed video on the Estevan Willian deal and transfer updates from that. And we'll also try and throw in a few other things as well. A few other fun things. Review kind of Chelsea season as a whole, where we thought we would be, where we are, what we need for next season. And of course, very nearly time to start getting into transfer talk and the Euros as well. International football, this ain't going to turn off. We ain't going to be going nowhere over the transfer season. If anything, we're going to be busier in the off season than we are in the season. So make sure, guys, please like, comment, subscribe to the channel if you're not already. It does not take long. It takes 5 seconds. If not, I'm online. It takes 1 second. It's free. Don't cost you nothing. Don't take no energy. Click that subscribe button. Make sure to like the channel, like the video as well. It means a lot to us. Comment as well. Get involved on the live video. Let us know what you think of Chelsea's season, what you think of the season as a whole, and follow at Two Blues Podcast on the Instagram and the TikTok. We'll be fucking fumbled that like a cunt, didn't I? We will be